So what's up YouTube? What's up Twitch chat? After our smoke alarm disaster during the challenge, we are back here for a modern league running through Dimir Oculus, except we're trying out the new Edge of Eternity's Sunset Saboteur. So the Saboteur, let's get our preview pane up, is a 4-1 for 2, so really good power. And you might be thinking, oh, that one toughness is a really big drawback. But it's a 4-1 with Menace and Ward discard a card. So like Graveyard Trespasser, opponent targets it, they got to discard something first. And then it's got an additional ability on here. Whenever this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target creature an opponent controls. Might seem like a downside, but in Modern, where a lot of stuff just isn't playing creatures, or the creatures attacking doesn't matter, then I don't think that +1/+1 counter is much of a downside at all. And other than that, it's just like ending the game kind of before those really add up. Plus, in a deck with a lot of black-based removal spells, you don't really care how big their creature gets. A Fatal Push or a Shoot the Sheriff or Edict or something still kills it. So you can put the counter on something that you're planning on killing anyway, and then just kill it afterwards. But the rest of the deck is the typical Dimir Oculus shell. We've got Oculus Unearth, Thought Scour, just a little extra threat density with our Saboteurs. In the sideboard, we did move one of the Graveyard Trespassers over, but for the most part, kept the sideboard kind of the same, so not too many notes there. That was basically just better Trespasser, it seems. Kind of in some matchups, I think. Like in a matchup such as Blink, then I think for the most part it is a better Trespasser. The Grave Hate is okay, but really you just want like a body that's not getting 1-for-1 removaled. And Saboteur just comes down a turn earlier, consistently has 4 power instead of sometimes. Against a lot of the unfair decks, I think it's better, and we're just kind of hoping that it's good enough in the fair matchups to make up for it. So turn 2, Saboteur on the play, or Frog. We can kind of see what our opponent does turn 1 and then make our determination as to whether we want the Frog or the Saboteur down first. Like if they play something unfair, I might want the Frog. If they play something fair and interactive, I might want the Saboteur to see if they'll use removal on it first. Mirror match. Mirror match, I think I'm going with Saboteur, honestly. Am I going Saboteur? I don't really care if they follow up with a Frog. I don't think it's Oculus based on Preordain. But I think I am going to go with the Saboteur here. They could have Bowmaster, but they'd have to like Bowmaster and ditch a card. Sab for the content, the real answer. I did have mail day though today. I got some Spyglass Sirens in for standard. And an extra Gloom Lake Verge. Children's Edict my Saboteur. Kind of not very nice. Do get an Edict out of the way. Well, I hope this isn't Thoughtseize into a 6/6 Murktide. Counterspell. Okay. I'm going to take another Shoot the Sheriff. If they've got a Murktide, like Murktide plus Counterspell, I might want the second shoot. Like their hand is just all removal spells. Stock up. Thoughtseize. Still don't know how people forget how people play stock up in a non-combo deck. The deck card is so clunky. I agree. Like, obviously, it's going to look pretty good in a matchup like this where you're just trading 1-for-1 and it's a draw 2. Just for me personally, I don't think this is the kind of matchup that you should be like gearing for in Modern. This is like gearing for the 2% matchup and ignoring the 68% matchups or whatever. To me, like if it works, it works, and you can't really argue with that. But just kind of the way I'm looking at this right now is opponent has like disrupted me a decent bit when I've been missing threats on turns and playing like derpy creatures. But if they were playing in something that was like actively killing them, like anything unfair, then I would see this being a lot worse. Creeping Tar Pit. So this is just like straight blue-black control. This isn't Frog or Murktide. Guess they could have Murktide, but I'm going to cling to dust, value you. Why did they target a Flooded Strand? Could have targeted like a Shoot the Sheriff. Gonna give them the free value off of a cling on a threat. I don't know why they're targeting my lands instead of Unearth and Shoot the Sheriff and like stuff that matters for Murktide. Down in the lock. Oh, I think I'm just getting the Saboteur. Just ends the game quicker. They find a removal spell they have to discard too. Died. I want to believe this Saboteur is making things awkward. I don't know if it actually is, but I just want to believe that that's the case. Like they can't get a threat down to block it, or 2 threats down to block it, or they don't want to discard. I'd assume if they have a removal spell, you just cast it. Go to war it. Harbinger. Arctide, finally. Oculus. I did not see that one coming. Not see that one coming at all. All right, removal spell. Removal spell, and we get there. Not from you, from me. Dang. All right. I'm going to say the Saboteur put in some work that game. Wasn't quite enough, but I think it did pretty well. Didn't see any Bowmasters. Got kind of a interesting-ish Oculus build. Could have Kaito. They have lands, then another push. stern scolding check. Salt scour. Dane. Altsy's bug. 2 to the bottom. Pretty good one if it gets to come down. Tribal, discard a card. Kept the card on top, so see what they said. Running it back. Maybe they're asking how Saboteur is. Got a XD man. Tribal, discard a card. What you got going on? Are we greedily taking the sink in the hopes that they either have to Thoughtseize and I get down a 2-drop, or by taking the stern scolding to try to make sure that one of my 2-drops resolves? I think this makes it so that if they go for Preordain and miss, this gets really, really good for me really, really quick. Or if they just hit like another Undercity or something. Two to the bottom. Damn it. Eat up this stern scolding. So you either discard. We hit the unearth here. Draw step for the unearth. Go to the bottom. Find the land. Find that one. Give him a chance to fetch another surveil land. Oculus and a pair of unknowns. Find that one. Could be pretty solid if they've got a counter spell here. Okay. I also love these spots where it's like stock up looks really good when you're kind of empty handed or not doing anything and you hit one. Technically, I shouldn't have auto yielded in case that was like a drown in the lock. If I counter this and their last unknown card is a fetch land and they just get to go fetch Oculus, I'm in a bunch of trouble. I just let this go. And maybe there's a chance that they find a fetch and play fetch Oculus. And I get to counterspell that and untap with a frog and a Saboteur. Which at least at the moment seems like the case. Yeah. Look, it's a Saboteur with no downside. Push. Saboteur. Saboteur. Love to see it. Close am I to finishing standard now? Five, 37, 38, 39, 40. 5. I got about like 60 of my standard deck. So waiting to see what removal spells Dimir starts gravitating towards. Tyler coming in with the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much. Welcome to the subscribers. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Aga. Well, opponent has revealed a VV avatar. So I'm gonna attempt to stern scolding this Tamio. Well, they can't have a follow-up this turn. Well then. Opponent goes, I don't know what this hand is. Crap, Lamau. Okay, fair. It's like, well then, after they threw out their entire hand on one. Vexing Bobble, bit of a nombo for them. Yeah, with a whole bunch of moxes and stuff, but I guess if you want it there for some unfair matchups and you happen to run into those, then it's probably pretty good. Kethis, the hidden hand. Ace, the perfected mind. Okay. Land would be huge. Untapped land. Black source. All right. So I could go discard Oculus, unearth. That gets Frog to -1. I don't think there's going to be a world where I can really do much. Vexing Bobble is giving him Metalcraft at the moment. So, like, part of me wants to just let the Imri live here because he can't Imri back anything in the graveyard because it just gets countered by Vexing Bobble. So he would have to sack the Vexing Bauble first, in which case I could kill the Emery. But he could also just Urza Saga to go get Aether Spellbomb. But I guess if he does that and he goes to crack the Spellbomb, I can respond. No, I can't respond to crack the Spellbomb because he can crack it targeting like my frog. And if I respond with the or killing the Emery, he can tap the Emery in response targeting the Spellbomb that's sacked. But I could counterspell the Spellbomb. Well, it doesn't really matter if he blocks the frog or not, because like I'm not discarding my hand to get rid of it. Go ahead and kill the Emery. Definitely forgot that he had an Oculus or a Bauble draw too. Really love to see just make a construct. That would be clutch. Stacks Vexing Bauble in response to the Saga trigger. So now no Metalcraft. Obviously, we'll be able to get something off of Saga to get it back online. Fourth Mishra's Bauble. Another Emery. Soul Cauldron. So it's just like Breachless Breach. Target themselves. Only got one mana. I can't do anything here. Okay. I'll Surveil here. I'm using the frog to take out the Jace anyway. I'll try to get the Surveil before. I'm going to go you, Jace. 4 blocks. We'll hop the frog. Saboteur. Not doing anything here. Okay. So if we can counterspell a payoff and go on with our lives. I guess we have to counterspell Soul Cauldron because they can. Exile Kethis. A mill to see the rest of my deck. Rona. Dude, I'm still having a hard time guessing Kethis combo. This should be lethal, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Back with the squad. Unless my math is off. Okay. Kethis. Kethis, Rona. All the normal affinity nonsense. Oh. Recording here. It's all Jace. Snare's bad. I'm on the draw, so Stern Scolding, Mystical Dispute, both are a bit worse. Probably drop those. Drop an Oculus, an Unearth, and a Scour. Expecting them to have some amount of grave hate. Then maybe just like Saboteur and not bring in the Trespasser on the draw. I even want to bring in Harbinger. They're like 4-color Kethis. Harbinger's got to be good. If you're playing Mana Confluence, right? Harbinger's got to have some text. Maybe I don't want both of them on the draw. I really don't know what I'd be playing over it. Go with it as is. Have an answer to a turn 1 Emery. Got stuff to work towards. Motto. On that Emery cool. Feels Jace the Perfected Mind, Rona, Mox Opal, Grinding Station. There. X Grinding Station. Ooh. I want to edict this spawn token really, really badly. I don't think it's right, but I want to. Ginger coming in with a raid. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. We were playing in the challenge earlier, and then I had a smoke alarm go off in the house. The fire department decided to evacuate, so we had to drop from the challenge. And now we're just jamming some Sunset, Saboteur, Dimir. Welcome, everybody, nonetheless. Plaza of Heroes, Beseju starting town, can't get Orm's chant. To get Plaza of Heroes. The starting town is a choice. Gotta be pretty good, right? I know it's not exciting to hit a spawn token, but it's kind of what happens when you keep hitting edict effects. And I want strategic betrayal to be able to hit something and like nuke their graveyard. Okay. Well, you do have a Mox Opal, so thing is happening. You have a Soul Cauldron. Land. Let me just Betrayal plus Oculus. I hit you for 2. They didn't play a threat last turn, so I'm going to assume it's safe to just fire this off. It is a exile piece for the yard. Plus it gets my 6th card in the yard for hard casting Oculus. Wild punch from opponent, not activating the cauldron in response to the betrayal. Yeah. Like the targets weren't great. It would have been like a Rona, right? I don't think they had a Kethis or anything. But definitely should have activated it. I don't believe they have any sort of like sweeper in their deck. And if they do, I get to untap, play an Oculus anyway. I don't know why they're not like getting Imri. I gotta test Cosmogoyf. I will, but I don't think it's gonna be in like a Sultai shell. I think it's gonna be in a Jund shell with Detectives Phoenix. Saga isn't going to the graveyard. No, the rules change on sagas. So now what used to happen is if your opponent had a saga in play and you played like a Blood Moon effect, the Blood Moon would overwrite a saga checking that it's a saga. It would essentially just be like, or it would be a saga, it would overwrite it having chapter abilities and say, okay, well, I'm a saga. I've got a counter on me. I've got more lore counters than I have chapter abilities. So I sacrifice myself as a state-based action. Now that check for sagas happens before Blood Moon applies. So it says, okay, I'm a saga. I've got 1 lore counter. I've got 3 chapter abilities. I'm good. Now Blood Moon layers on and says, okay, well, now I have no abilities, but I've already made that check. So I don't need to check again. And it just hangs around. It can't gain new abilities until the Blood Moon effect is gone, and it can do anything that it has gained already. But right now, this is an Urza Saga with 1 chapter ability, or 1 lore counter, sorry, no chapter abilities. It cannot make colorless. It can only make blue from the Harbinger of the Seas. But it checks and sees, okay, I've got a lore counter, I've got some number of chapter abilities, and then the Blood Moon gets applied to it. It's stupid. I hate it. But apparently it was done because of like humility effects with a lot of the saga creatures coming in with Lord of the Rings. I guess you didn't want like Dress Down or something to just kill all your saga creatures. Make Final Fantasy Saga cards work. There you go. Which I think that change, first off, I don't think the change is like the biggest deal in the world. It's annoying, but I don't think it's been like format warping or anything like that. I do think it's going to be like a tick in eventually getting Urza Saga banned, but it's not going to be right away. Have we cast Saboteur yet? Yeah, we played it a few times round 1 against the Mirror, and was pretty good. Patrick coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, everybody. 2 raids in 7 minutes. Hope you had an awesome stream. Were you playing in the challenge, or were you just playing to play? Playing Jay Spencer. How greedy do I feel? One lander on the play. I do have a Thought Scour. What? Science. If I didn't have a Thought Scour, I would throw this back in a heartbeat. This Mardu Blink, or is this Mardu Energy? On time. Mardu Blink. Thelia's annoying. Solitude's annoying. Overlord is just like the most annoying. So let's take that one. Fire off of Thelia here. Let them cast Thelia. Go to their turn. If they go for Thoughtseize, I can respond with Edict. If they go for Flicker Wisp, I can counterspell. Fortunately, Murktide's like the only, only real target there. I'm an idiot. I didn't even notice that they only had one white source at the moment, so they couldn't Flicker Wisp. Or no, they have Bloodstained Mire. Never mind. Fine. Back to non-idiot status at the moment. Never leave non-idiot status. Unfortunately true. Fortunately accurate. Live by the idiot, die by the idiot. BR Pestinina. No idea how badly I butchered that, but thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. That's kind of annoying. Hug from Brazil. I appreciate it. Let's find an untapped land. Stop the sheriff. play this out, because if they untap and solitude this, I do get a body left behind, and I can hard cast another one with Stern Scolding up for Flicker Wisp. I think I'll take this trade. In the yard. This trade looks significantly worse now. Entombing up a Flage. We're not dead this turn. Doesn't bode well for next turn, but I hate that. Blades looks so much better when you can just summon it up at will. Like, just so miserable for play patterns. I tend to agree. Blade really embodies that like Uro style effect of just like, I'm gonna play this early. Because it's often just like stabilizing on turn 3. And then once you start getting later into the game, it just gets like better and better and better. Probably pretty close to pack it up. How's Dimir feeling the meta? Feels fine as long as you're like preparing for what you expect. I feel like what I see more often than not is just people like playing Dimir, but playing a bunch of cards that aren't winning them games and like wondering why they're losing. That makes sense. Like, we can play bad cards at the moment because we're testing them out. But the number of times I see people like play Dimir Frogtide instead of Oculus and just register a bunch of like Tamios and Kaitos and lose to Boros over and over again, and then just repeatedly go like, this deck sucks. I'm just losing all the time with it. Like, yeah. Not surprised you're losing all the time with it if that's the game plan. I don't really know what Mardu is bringing in. But I think if you play like the 75 best cards for the current modern meta game, and ignore everything else. And what I mean by that is like you play the 15 best cards and you don't worry about whether it's Oculus or Frogtide, or you play the cards that are actively working and not just make a bunch of, oh, I want to play XYZ calls. Then you can definitely make the deck a lot better into most matchups. The problem, I think, is that more often than not, people don't do that. They say like, okay, I'm playing Oculus and I'm jamming Oculus consistently, whether it's a good meta for Oculus or bad, and I'm going to play like XYZ cards every week because I want to play them, whether they're good or they're bad. And then if it doesn't work out, it kind of becomes like, oh, it's the deck's fault. Not directly. Opponent got rewarded or punished. BD. Please. I would like to cast that one. Like to eat that one. Really like it if you miss your second land. Not going to play out the frog because I know about this fatal push on their side. Yeah. I'll just save the Flooded Strand in hand in case I find a frog or another frog. Graveyard Glutton. I don't even know if I can say like that was thanks to Graveyard Glutton when my opponent just didn't see a second land ever. You know what? I'm gonna take that W nonetheless. Bacophilia. So I think I am gonna jam Frog here. Because they can't untap and Flicker Wisp. They could Flicker Wisp. I'd probably hold up Stern Scolding or something. Maybe they just go for like a Flage and Life is Nice. Delia plus Fatal Push. I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect Frog to connect. Or no, they didn't have white. I'm gonna figure this game out eventually, I promise. Go ahead and Fatal Push now while they've got no white mana up. Exiles Felia from the yard. Pretty sweet to me. I kind of feel like opponent is playing this with the expectation that it's like a free win instead of, well, you still got to do something. That makes any sense. Kind of like, oh, I can just do whatever and I'll win the game. Smell Wrath of the Skies. Maybe. All right, pass back. Got Sink into Stupor for Flage. If they get back Overlord and don't do anything else, we can Strategic Betrayal. I just let this go. Well, I could sink this, or I could just sink the Overlord. But if I sink this and they end up having a second black mana, then they get my sink and they get my strategic betrayal. That doesn't seem ideal to me. Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. That is a Magic the Gathering legal play. Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. I'm letting this go all day long. I don't care about this in the slightest. Got it. Anything that's just like all the more reason to start ditching stuff into frogs. Care about the Ashiok. Saboteur. Oh, I think that was a little too lost in the sauce. The red Overlord. Doesn't that say any target? It's like 4 mana, 4 damage to anything. Four damage to anything. But double red in a deck that's already needing like double white and double black. Seems like a lot. Double red for Flage anyway. That's fair. Point made. But even then, like, Flage seems like a lot. Because how many times did they have Arena or like Blood Crypt Arena and couldn't play Flicker Wisp? They died with 3 Flicker Wisps in hand that game 3. Feel like that's difficult to justify. And it's pretty not great. See. You're going to have 1,000,000 mana no matter what I do. This deck really had legs. You probably have to play Rainbow Lands. Possibly. There is a non-zero part of me that wants to counterspell this, because if their unknown card is another green source, like so, they can make a Saga Construct, which I don't really want to deal with. I definitely feel like that's a way that I lose this game. Just construct beatdowns. Hey. Take a hit off this construct this turn. Can't let you hit. They've got an Explorer, so this is a blind draw off the top to try to hit something good. All right. I guess we'll just double check what they're getting before I do anything. So the unknown draws were Aftermath Analyst, Green Source to have Saga Constructs, Aftermath Analyst, Primeval Titan, something else. What happens when you don't have fast shadows? Well, I mean, I should have just, like, I knew I should mulligan that hand because I wasn't doing anything proactive on the play. So I definitely got punished for it. If I just had like a frog or another thought scour or something to help get an Oculus into the yard, then it gets a bit better. I knew the risk there. It happened to me twice. Want to keep this hand, but I also don't want to go down to 5. I don't want to throw back like a sketchy-ish 6 and just get a completely unkeepable 5. Good. B, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome afternoon. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. Blocks. I think I'm just passing through. I can cast an Oculus, but I don't think casting an Oculus right here is doing anything for me if I risk them just having a Titan. Okay. Let's think. I believe this is Hop Frog, attack in, discard an Oculus. I'm trying to hit 4th land to be able to play engineered explosives, represent cracking it, and hold up counterspell. But what's probably going to end up happening is play engineered explosives, hold up counterspell, and fatal push a construct token. Else. Second Titan. Suns for 3. 4. Okay. Season of Mists, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you're having an awesome time. Hope you had a good stream. What were you playing? How'd it go? I think this is just attack with frog. Is this attack with frog? If I attack and they don't block, cool. Play Oculus, pass. If I attack and they do block, discard Oculus, Thought Scour. Popper pivoted into Cube Draft and got the trophy. Nice. Congrats. Play attacking. If I cast Oculus, they can recast the Amulet from the yard, buff the construct to 5. So I guess I'm pass engineered explosives and sign the 6 attack trigger. Another Titan. Really matter what they get back. Got to do this regardless. That's really interesting. Huh. I think I have to hit a fetch or an island so I can go attack with frog, find an untapped land, ditch the Harbinger, or ditch the Oculus, unearth it, hard cast the other. Okay. On untapped land. Untapped non-watery grave land. Even better because I can get basic swamp off of it. Go. So you're saying there's a chance. At a double block of Titan. Never mind. All right. Well, Titan with double Saga, 6, double Titan, double Otawara. I guess we'll take that one. Sometimes not meant to be. Back-to-back Amulet. Balls. Prowess is this VV list. Looks like prowess. Never mind. Do. I will try to get the Ragavan off the board. Could play Saboteur here and try to get the 2-for-1. Like, if you're going to have a removal spell for it, at least you got to use up another card. It is worse into a Scion, though. counterspell. That's okay. Really hoping I'd be able to find an unearth by now. Lage. Fight over this. I'm already planning on hard casting Oculus next turn. Then this could just be two more damage triggers off my frogs. Sounds pretty good. Not that good. Right. Can hit a Tribal Flames. Can hit a Kavu. Pedro coming in with the 2-month resub. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the subscribers. Enjoy continued access to all of our sweet emotes. Is there a command for the current list you're playing? Yeah, exclamation deck or exclamation deck list in chat. Take you straight to the Mox field. They've got like a bolt or something they want to use on this Oculus. That's fine with me. I get the Scion off the board and I've got another Oculus, so got an ad as soon as you responded. Yeah, the ads are no bueno, unfortunately. Upstairs with the Flage. This is 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 at the moment. Feel the Oculus build was good to test Sab. Feel like it didn't help it to shine. Well, it's kind of what I'm curious on seeing. I think that the Oculus build has the upside of being way more proactive anyway. And Sab's like a good way to help out with graveyard hate and stuff like that. Deck, you know what would have been really cool is a counter spell. So we lose to Arena plus Flage. We're not awful into most everything else. Scion of Draco, we beat. Fatal push this Flage. Even if we couldn't fatal push the Flage, we've got lethal in the air. Now we've got Revolt off of our token going away. Okay, on the draw into Zoo. Opponent did seem like they were fetching basics fairly aggressively, so I think I'm going to leave the Harbingers in the board, especially on the draw. Horse is pretty meh. Altsies is definitely better on the draw. Scolding's pretty bad. Drop a Saboteur on the draw. Got an answer for Ragavan, and we just hope we don't get Scioned on 2. Opponent's on a mold of 5. Love to see a tapped Thundering Falls on 1, because that means that they can't Scion on 2. And that was like the only thing I really cared about with this hand. By dropping a Saboteur down. No. I think Saboteur looks really bad if they follow up with a Scion. Then I've got to attack in, make a Scion bigger, which is already tough for me to deal with. Counterspell could be a little iffy if they just untap and like play a Flage. But I still think I would rather deal with that. City. We're on the stack. Scour ourselves. I mean, if they're not doing anything, I don't really need to do anything. Roll, sure. Got it. Here's our good buddy Scion. Patiently waiting on. No value spell bomb is pretty sweet. I'll just go for like Saboteur Frog. All right, do you have another lightning bolt? Could have just played double Saboteur. Well, I was kind of thinking they had like a ley line binding. Would have been a little more obnoxious to deal with. Wasn't really expecting them to just have Flage plus Bolt rolled up. I don't know if they have another Surveil land, so I don't want to cast this Thoughtseize into just like freely feeding the Flage. All right, well, we can cast an Oculus if we find one. We've got a Flage next turn. Strategic Betrayal's been so good. It's been so good. So many Phlages running around. Just psychological warfare. I could have gotten back the Saboteur, but I think getting back the Frog is better here if they don't rip a removal spell this turn. Which they don't. No Giganta to add to hand. Frog. Right. Think Frog might get us there. All right, so 4-1, our one loss coming to Amulet, which feels bad. I definitely think that Oculus is a little bit worse against Amulet than traditional. But there were some heater games. Saboteur overall, I felt was positive. Definitely wouldn't say like broken, but really good value to drop. I don't think the +1/+1 countered mattered in the challenge game we had to drop. It didn't matter in the league at all. And it seemed like opponents had to respect it. Like it is a good, evasive, powerful threat. So I don't hate their decision to put a target on its back. Probably want to say it needs to be in a shell with the 4th Thoughtseize, or at least like more hand disruption. But overall, very positive first league with it.